Every day we're working on this place.
Local politicians accountable for a lot of the stuff. Yeah, and a lot of the state politicians as well come and try to run things here in Flint.
Right.
Yes.
After they've driven it into the ground.
Yes, and continue to do so while lying about all of it.
Right.
So there's a lot here. I'm glad you're here because this is probably one of the most corrupt cities in America, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you talk to any of the residents, they'll tell you about how the politics is just as dirty as the water is, and none of it seems to be getting better.
And the two go hand in hand. You have dirty politics, that's democracy. You will have dirty water, and the trashing of our health and everything.
And I'm sure you'll meet some Flint residents today who are still going through a lot of this. I had a recent DEQ report showed Vicki March, she's a Flint resident, her lead was over 3,000 parts per billion in her home. And she's been having high lead levels that the DEQ can't explain, even though water pods are ending next month, right? And that's all the free water, and that's ending. The free testing kits are ending. So the state would like to say that everything's done, clean, good to go, but meanwhile people are still being
Exactly.
Thank you for being here.
And that's exactly why I'm here, is because you're doing exactly the right thing. It matters not only for Flint, it really matters for justice, for health, for democracy. Not just in the U.S. I mean, this is a global problem. In fact, from here, I'm actually going to South Korea tomorrow as a part of the fight against militarism and occupation, essentially. So, these are global struggles for democracy, for sovereignty, for peace and justice. They go hand in hand, but there's a lot of us that are fighting them, and we're starting to get together in the same way that the water protectors from Standing Rock have come to bring, that power here. Together we're unstoppable when we start coming together across these barriers they try to use to divide us. But this is what America looks like right now, and what much of the world looks like. So we're here to help get that word out. And so do we have all the live streams rolling?
Pretty much every angle.
And how about this one? Let me get this one going, okay?
This is a really important
I want to
one.
get this onto my...
Truth Against the Machine,
The
the
Daily
Haze, what's it? Relatives in Prayer, where you at? We got Jill Stein. We got everybody personal funds. We're all over the place.
This is awesome.
But that's what makes this is the difference. Like, corporate media doesn't come here, right? They don't get any of our stories. They don't listen to any of that. And they can't shut down all of these live streams. Like, they can't shut down all of those voices.
Exactly. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. It looks like 1,000 live streams.
It's true.
At an occupation camp.
Exactly. Let me just publish. So tell me what you call the fire here.
The sacred fire.
Okay, great. Coming to you from the sacred fire at the Water Protectors Camp in Flint, Michigan. Period.
Wolf's Den.
At the Wolf's Den. Period. Please share and let's take back the power.
This is how Jill Stein gets things done.
Yeah, right?
You have just witnessed how Jill Stein gets things done, guys.
Yes.
Yes. Be like Jill.
Jill Stein, everybody.
Get it done. Get it done, everybody. Breaking news.
To the people.
Jill Stein uses Google Voice.
I am just following your footsteps.
Her phone seems
This, I feel like this should be in like one of those magazines with those photos. Like, they're just like us. She uses Google Voice, you know?
Siri doesn't listen to me as well as that does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Are you going live, Jill?
I'm trying to
Everybody's live. We're reaching our quota of
We'll be
live
live in
streams.
a moment.
I'm surprised we have not been dabbled yet.
Yeah, like every single one's gonna get dabbled in.
By the way, Jill agreed to spray paint. So no dabble, everybody.
Jill's an artist.
Jill, she did not come here as a politician. She came here as a graffiti artist to join the revolution.
So here we go.
Christina Russell says take back the
We gotta get the door spray paint.
Hey, Facebook
And I also got some Caterpillar tractor toys that we can sign no dabble with a Sharpie. So we're gonna have Jill tractors.
So just a formal welcome to Social Media Nation, to Liberated Free Media, to liberation camps all over the world. Welcome to the Wolves Den at Standing Rock. So thank you to all the water protectors gathered here. Can we give a big thank you to So tell us where you would like to have our global conversation.
And everyone doing live stream should know that.
Yeah.
The actual fire. Do not record the actual fire, please.
The coals were brought over from Oceanetti and relit at this fire. So we can photograph everything around it and so place you over and this where and you swear on this side. Yeah, in the shade's probably a good idea. Take a cold shower in no time.
Joni says Jill Stein's sacred fireside chat. Right?
Yeah. So, how many here are actually from Flint?
Hands up for Flint.
Wow. Woo. Let's hear it for Flint.
Yeah.
And who here has come in to help defend Flint residents?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you to you all. And I want to just say a big thank you from the bottom of my heart as a citizen of the planet, as a fellow rainbow warrior for people, planet, and peace. I want to thank everyone who helped make this gathering happen today. I want to give props to my colleague here, George Martin, my fellow rainbow warrior.
Wisconsin's in the house.
Can I kick this off?
Please.
All right. And I've worked with Jill in terms of the global climate convergence for many, many years. And I work internationally in terms of this. And I picked up some pieces from Nigerian climate activists that are at the heart of this chant. So I'd like to begin with this. Mic check. Water is life. Water is life. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep the oil under the soil. Keep the oil under the soil. Keep the gas under the grass. Keep the gas under the grass. Keep the coal in the hole. Keep the coal in the hole. System change. System change. Not climate change. Not climate change. Renewable energy. Renewable energy. Sustainable life. Sustainable life. Water is life. Water is life. Peace. Peace. And love. And love. Thank you. Mini with Joe.
Peace, love, gratitude, incredible gratitude for what you are doing as water protectors, what you are doing as Flint protectors, what you are doing as health protectors, what you are doing as democracy protectors. All those things go hand in hand. And Flint is the poster child, really, of the abuse of our democracy and our water and our health and our housing and our economy. What has happened at Flint, as you know so well, is no coincidence. It wasn't an accident. This is year upon year upon year of disinvestment, of abuse, of extraction, of pollution, of exploitation, of oppression. And what is remarkable about Flint is that you have stood up in the face of overwhelming odds and overwhelming suppression. You have overcome that. You have put this struggle on the map. This is a new symbol for America and the fight of everyday Americans for water that we can drink, for jobs that we can have, for homes that we can inhabit, and for a democracy that we deserve. Flint has been dragged through the coals here on every aspect of this. It's incredible, and thanks to your resilience, thanks to your courage, you did not sit down and shut up as you were being told. You did not pretend that the water did not stink. You did not pretend that you were just fine and nobody was getting rashes and sick, that your kids were having trouble concentrating and learning and focusing. You did not pretend that people were not getting terribly sick with Legionnaire's disease, in fact, which was discovered back in, 2014 or 2015. But nothing was said for 2 years. No one was warned. The epidemic was not even acknowledged. And when the scientists were coming out to say that the lead levels here were just off the charts, what did we get? We got suppression, we got denial at all levels of government. Already there have been, 12, 14 members of local and state government that have now been officially charged with essentially criminal negligence. This isn't benign negligence when the evidence is right there before your eyes. And my understanding is that the evidence was there even before the water supply was switched, that there had been several formal studies that had been undertaken that in fact showed that if the water supply was going to be moved from Detroit water system to the Flint River, that corrosive countering chemicals were going to be critical. At the very minimal cost of $200 a day, why in the name of heaven were those chemicals not added? Why were 2 official reports ignored? And then why were the cries of the people absolutely ignored? In many ways, this is a symbol of what is going on across America. America is struggling, likewise, with an epidemic of pollution, in many cases from lead, but from other things as well, including air pollution. And it's not only the pipes that are killing us, it's also the pipelines that are killing us, like the pipeline at Standing Rock. And we're starting to draw the connection between the dots. We're connecting the dots to say that health, justice, and democracy go hand in hand, that health in Flint is very connected to health in Standing Rock, is connected to health in Detroit, is connected to health in Benton Harbor, in these many areas where democracy has been under assault with the appointment of these emergency managers. So if the emergency managers are no longer accountable to the community, who are they accountable to? They're accountable to the people that appoint them. That's why we need to take accountability here up the chain of command as high as it needs to go. If 5 members of the governor's cabinet are now charged with essentially criminal negligence, if they knew and ignored this crisis, how could the governor not be a part of this crisis?
Follow the money.
The buck stops there.
And as I understand, there were also some very questionable contracts that set this up, and which set up conflicts of interest, which then made regulation and accountability all the more difficult. This needs to be followed all the way to find out what's happened. This is not some theoretical problem. This is a problem that has resulted in thousands and thousands of young children being exposed to dangerous levels of lead. It's about an epidemic now of not only the consequences of lead, which include learning disabilities and behavioral and learning problems and social problems. It's not enough to say it's over and done, you had your bottled water, because the pipes that are corroding remain corroding. They don't get fixed until you change the pipes. And we are asking everyone who's hearing this, who's seeing this out there in cyberspace, everybody who's on social media, to please join us, join the people of Flint in demanding that clean bottled water continue to be provided to this community that has been so devastated.
Hear, hear.
That is the least they can do. And we ask you to join Flint in demanding that the pipes be replaced this year. There's no reason to drag this out more than the 3 years it's already taken. It's time to replace those pipes within the next year. It can be done. There was incredible disinvestment that happened on the part of the state, on the part of corporations who took their jobs and ran. There used to be good jobs here in Flint, which used to be the heart of the automobile industry. Those jobs are long gone. There was massive industrial disinvestment from this community. And then there was massive disinvestment at the national level by Democrats and by Republicans in support for clean water and the clean water infrastructure for things like the pipes that bring the water in. Those funds have been cut, as I understand, something like 80% over the last couple of decades. So there's a responsibility here that is shared by every member of Congress. So we are asking, I am asking Congress, who has contributed to this crisis, to fix the crisis. We want Congress to step in and fix the water infrastructure all across this nation, but starting right here in Flint, Michigan, the heart of the water crisis. You may know Donald Trump is calling for his $1 trillion infrastructure plan, which will basically be more of the fossil fuel economy. We want $1 trillion infrastructure in the new economy of peace, the new economy of justice, of sustainability, and of community development. We call it a Green New Deal, an emergency jobs program that would put everyone back to work with a good wage job that doesn't poison your community with fossil fuels, that doesn't poison the workers who are more at risk than anybody on the fossil fuel jobs. We want the good jobs in clean renewable energy, in restoring a healthy water infrastructure, in creating a healthy and sustainable food system, and in public transportation. And when we do the right thing here, by putting our dollars into a green economy that will fix our water system, the great thing is that we get so much healthier by doing that. The health savings alone are enough to pay the costs of that green energy transition. So this is a virtuous circle. You do the right thing and it leads to another right thing. In fact, by investing our dollars right now, and I hope you're listening out there in Congress, because this is addressed to you, by creating that funding right now for a Green New Deal at the community level. We're not talking about multinational corporations. We're talking about community-based jobs right here with small businesses and worker cooperatives and community cooperatives right in the Flint, Michigans all over this country. We put the dollars into your hands so that you can create the jobs in your community, making your community sustainable. Sustainable energy, food, transportation, water, etc. Those jobs should be created right here, of, by, and for the people of Flint and the people of America, all over America. Now, when you do that, some people say, oh, it would be so expensive, we can't possibly do that. But in fact, it pays for itself. And one way it pays is that we get so much healthier by getting rid of the fossil fuels and by cleaning up our water supply, by the way, too. But we get so much healthier from the fossil fuels alone in reduced, massive reduction in asthma, in cancers, in heart attacks, in strokes, in diabetes, and all kinds of things that are related to fossil fuels and the poisons that go with them. We get so much healthier. That money alone is enough to pay the cost of the green energy transition. But that's not where it stops. Because if we get off of fossil fuels, then guess what? We don't need the friggin' wars for oil either.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We don't need that war at home, and we don't need that war abroad. Because those wars are costing us more than half of our discretionary budget. If we weren't spending $1 trillion a year on these endless, unwinnable wars that make us less safe, not more safe, they make us less safe.
It only affects the poor.
Stop bombing the poor. And
Exactly.
expect the poor
The
to
poor fight the wars.
The only
Exactly.
jobs they can get, too,
That's right.
military.
That's right.
Exactly. It's a war against the poor and also against people of color overseas and in this country. And the minute we stop that war and we create a green energy system here, then we don't need the friggin' wars at all to start with. I mean, what's wrong with this picture? Why do we create this so-called emergency that we have to go to war for? Instead, let's just put those dollars into making those wars obsolete, unnecessary. We don't need them. Instead, we can be the model for the world. This is not
war
just
is so profitable.
exactly, which is why that's right. And that's all about why we need to get together and change this, because in the words of Alice Walker, the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. We have the power. We have the numbers, we have the solutions. Just the number of people locked into student loan debt. Okay? Anybody know anybody in student loan debt?
Right here.
Son, daughter, sister?
Just
Oh
paid
my
mine off
God.
at the age of
Yes,
45.
mother, father.
I'm 50 now.
It's 44 million people. Okay, that's enough
27, I
to
owe
win
$15,000.
right there. Any three-way presidential race or any three-way race for city council or for mayor or for librarian or dog catcher or for school committee, you name it. These are the battles that we need to fight. And what I am so excited about now is that the people of Flint, the people who've been hardest hit, are the ones who are standing up and leading this fight across the nation. The people of Standing Rock, who've been fighting not just the DAPL pipeline, but, genocide, who've been fighting the theft of indigenous lands, the violation of indigenous treaties. People of color who are standing up to say no more to a system of abusive policing that, where the police are in charge of the community instead of having the community in charge of the police, which is the way it should go. We can fix these. These are eminently fixable problems. It's all about us standing up with the courage of our convictions, and that's what you here in Flint have done for all of us across the nation. So I'm asking everyone across the nation to join with the people of Flint, and we'll be posting on our Facebook page, and all of us will be networking some actions that we can take nationally, calling on Congress to fix the water infrastructure across the nation, starting here at Flint. Replace those toxic pipes. Right now, everybody deserves clean water.
Woo!
We need to ask for health care as a human right. Why not start right here in Flint, Michigan, where people have been made so sick in such numbers? why don't we start with Medicare for all right here in Flint, Michigan? Because we all see it. You know, the Republicans are trying to take health care away. The Democrats are trying to move us back to Obamacare, which is better than nothing, but you know what, it's totally unsustainable and it hits lots of people, especially the working poor. So this is not a question of one inadequate form of health care or no health care at all. We deserve real health care for everyone. It doesn't cost a penny more. It just takes the predators out of the payment scheme. Let's put our dollars into real dollars for health care for everyone. Single payer Medicare for all. We ask you to join us in calling for Medicare for all, starting right here at Flint and the most oppressed communities across this nation. We ask you to join us in telling the people of the elected officials, our misleaders here in Flint and in the state of Michigan. No how, no way should the people of Flint be asked to pay for the water that poisoned them.
It's poison, it's not water, it is poison.
Tear up those debts.
Call it what it is.
That continues to poison, exactly. That is just such an outrage that people are being put on the line, potentially into foreclosure, for these bills for water which is poisonous. This is an outrage. We say have the misleaders who created this crisis, have them pay the water bills, but not the people of Flint.
GM, General Motors.
The General Motors built these houses. People in the 20s and 30s and 40s, General Motors built most of these subdivisions, most of these houses around here, and the pipelines, and to draw workers up here from the south to work at General Motors. People aren't realizing that the real culprit here is a multinational corporation. It's General Motors. They used cheap materials. They built houses, you know, HUD houses, basically. They're very small, poorly built, just to bring people up here. And then they left us. They left us with toxic waste dumps at all their former plants and everything. We can't even sell the land.
They busted the unions.
They busted the unions up. I mean, when we say we got to go after the politicians on Capitol Hill and make them, why aren't we making them go after General Motors, the real culprits, make them clean up these toxic waste sites they left behind, and they should be the ones paying for the pipes. They installed them.
Absolutely. There are plenty of actors out there who've created this crisis. There are a lot of predators who are flying high, who are rolling in dough right now, and whether it's equitable taxation, whether it's paying for damages done and holding polluters accountable, there are so many ways, you know, there are more ways than you can count on the road to justice. There are many roads to justice. And the key here, you know, in my view, is our power as people to ensure that we go down those roads. Right. And part of those roads include electing real servants of the people, not servants of the predators. Right, so absolutely. This is all about getting organized. Let's hear from the people of Flint and from our water protectors, because nobody can tell this story better than you. So if you could, you know, just let's raise hands and give us about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes of your story. So let me bring over here this wonderful, a wonderful family, Christina and Adam Murphy. Declan. And I just began to hear a little bit of their story, and I had to say, wait, the world needs to hear this story. So I would be honored for you to share your story with everyone who needs to hear it, or shall we say some of the people who need to hear it, and let's get this story out about the fact that the crisis in Flint is not over. This is an ongoing emergency that needs fixing. Tell us just a few of the things that you were telling me about the levels of lead in your water, in your blood, the impacts on your family. Say a few things about that.
That's what a lot of people talk about is lead. Lead's the only thing that's talked about that's in our water. Lead and copper, It's not the only thing that's in our water, because we had a guy come in and do a detailed water reports for some of the residents of Flint. His name's Scott Smith, with Water Defense, Mark Ruffalo. He had found, he had a 47-page detailed water report explaining science. And this lab, ALS Environmental, tested the water. The world's largest independent lab tested our water, and they found other contaminants in our water. Aluminum, manganese, copper,
And then in your blood.
arsenic. But the problem is mercury. That's the thing is the Safe Water Drinking Act says all the state has to do is test for lead and copper, and that's based on, I believe it was written in 1971 or 1970.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a politician. I'm just what I used to be as a millwright. And I mean, I had numerous of blood tests done from my family doctor. I went to probably 12 different doctors, specialists. They did blood work, and nothing came back as, oh, you're fine, go home. You must, take some pills. Maybe this will make you feel better. They really didn't know. And if you talked about the lead or the copper, they said there's the door. They told my wife when we went to see a rheumatologist, if you want to talk about the lead, there's the door. They didn't really want to get into what's really making us sick. And lead, lead's one of them. Copper's another. Aluminum's another.
The only way you're going to find out what's hiding in your blood is by taking a DMSA test, and that is a chelation agent that will find what's hiding in your bones and your organs. You will not know what's in your blood anymore. It's been over 30 days, so everything is settled into your bones and your organs now. My son, Declan, and our other children have all been tested, and they're coming back positive for lead, silver, cadmium. And high,
arsenic.
And even though he never touched the water, but because he was born to a poisoned mother, he actually has the highest lead out of all 5 of our children. And so the aluminum, this is a very important fact, is that no one in the city of Flint should be having fluoride at all, because it acts aggressively with heavy metal poisoning. It's in your toothpaste, it's in baby food, it's in processed food, it's in water, because they put fluoride in your water. Anything with the ingredient that has water, it's in baby formula. And in 2015, there was 43 infant deaths that they don't